Good afternoon, everyone. This is Henry, and as we get into tonight's video newsletter, we can always start off by looking at the SPX. I like to give you a little bit of the foundational pieces that I'm using heading into the next day, but there is a big piece of this that will depend on whether or not we get CPI tomorrow. I heard that we were, then I heard the Washington representative or White House representative said that we weren't, and now it's off of the Fed calendar. And, again, I think we probably will. But it's just a big wild card that is due out there 1 hour before the cash markets open. And that is something that we'll have to contend with. Now, with that all pushed aside, and let's just say that the data was not due out tomorrow, well, then this is the big risk on, risk off level. So 6,800 is the line in the sand, and 6,900 is the target that I am using. Now, of course, there may be spots that we pause along the way. It does not mean that it will be a direct path straight up there, but that's mostly what I'm looking for. And then using 6850 as the, kind of in between of those two levels. I know it seems very basic, but a lot of times with the SPX, you can make it just that basic. And that's where I'm looking Thursday and into Friday. Now, with that, we will move on into a couple other charts where the title of this video I gave was a couple of trades that aren't so easy. That's just to say, if you're looking at these most liquid names and you want to say, well, I want to buy calls or buy puts, I don't know if I necessarily see that trade. And it might be something where you just have to be a little bit patient and give them some time to trade. But if you would like some more creative trades, I just wanted to share two ideas with you. Now, both of these I think will work best if the market can go bid early tomorrow, maybe midday, something like that. But essentially, we need to see that NVIDIA holds the 21 EMA and then rallies into 195 or 200. Now, a move right at the beginning of the session directly into 200 is what I believe would be most favorable for this idea. But you could do it at 195. You could do it at a couple of different spots along the way. But what I want to share with you is the idea of thinking about what your break even would be if you were to sell Friday's straddle at the money. And that's really the heart of the trade, right? So you come into Thursday, you'll have 2 days left in this week's options. Again, being able to sell that at let's just say 195. Let's say that you could sell the $195 straddle for about $6. And I think we'll be close to those prices, give or take, maybe a touch under. But if you sell the 195 straddle at $6, kind of when you're at that strike, what that means is that you are betting on prices staying under 201 and then above 194, right? You're essentially $6, whatever credit you take in, off of that straddle price. So I like the idea of thinking that if you could sell it for that type of value and then hold it into Friday afternoon, as long as you are below here and above here, I believe that's a winning strategy. Now, when you think about something like the sale of a straddle, that can be a rather important or a rather expensive kind of trade. Well, what you can do is come in here and start by selling that straddle, right? Again, that's the idea. Again, big variance depending on where the underlying is. But once you sell that straddle, if you do not want, see how I get closed today at the money, right around $5. That's what you're trying to do, is get just a little bit better than that, and then think that NVIDIA will trade within a $5 range over the course of about 48 hours. Now, if you want to have a little bit of protection, just in case things do get a little bit radical, in case there's a big gap up on Friday, in case you just want to limit the amount of buying power that this takes up, well, then you can come in and buy the straddle for the next week out, right? NVIDIA still has earnings that are going to be coming out at kind of the middle of next week. So these contracts will hold their premiums a little bit better. You may see a little bit of a lift from the implied volatility. And the idea is that even though that trade will go for a debit, remember we're buying this series right here. So buying the further dated, selling the shorter. And then, I generally, the way I manage it is to cover the entire spread on Friday afternoon. If you decide to hold the long straddle into the actual event, that's a viable strategy as well. So that's one idea that I wanted to bring you for NVIDIA. And then the other here is an Apple. And to be honest with you, it's the idea I wanted to bring into tonight's video review. It may not be the best idea. It really is geared more towards a contrarian, towards someone that says, I don't think Apple's going to keep going straight up. Of course, on the other hand, this is a pretty good pattern, and I am bullish on Apple. But what I wanted to share with you was the idea that let's say tomorrow we do have a really strong day and Apple rallies to something like 280. I would think it's starting to get a little bit extended at those levels. And then what I would look to is come out into next Friday's options and sell 2 calls in an effort to offset 1 long call. Now, bigger picture, I think we might be headed up here into 290, and that's why I say, please do be careful with this and acknowledge that it has to be part of your trading plan, that it is part more of a contrarian outlook. But if Apple is bid, and you can come out here into these 9-day options, and let's say that you sell 2 of the, get these out of here, I want to look at selling 2 of the 280s, and then buying 1 of the 275s. If I can do that transaction for a credit, I think it's worth your consideration. To take heat, you essentially have to march straight up, getting through the 280 strike. If you can trade sideways, if you trade down, that's where this type of a strategy for a credit will look a lot better. Again, this would need to be done on strength tomorrow. Is for more advanced accounts that are trying to fade a little bit of this strength, but those are the creative ways that I'm going to be looking at some spreads for tomorrow. So I hope that brings a little something to your trading plan for Thursday. Y'all have a great night. I'll see you in the chat room tomorrow.
Hey traders, this is Henry with simplertrading.com. I wanted to thank you for watching today's video. I hope you found it helpful, and if so, be sure to click the like and subscribe buttons down below. If you would like to also see me putting these ideas into action and trading my own account live in front of you, be sure to sign up at simplertrading.com, and I hope to see you in the chat room sometime soon.